Today's episode of Titus and Tate, we're talking with Greg Oden. That's it. My longtime friend, your longtime friend now, Tate. It's been a while since you've met Greg.
He's been years
friend
now.
for you now. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Time flies.
It really does. How about that? We had this is long overdue. Greg has been on the show a handful of times. We love having him on, and we love just talking to him about life and what he's up to and his thoughts on basketball. His thoughts, obviously, on Kevin Durant. We have to ask him about Kevin Durant because everyone wants to know about, and especially now. I mean, for God's sakes, it makes a lot of sense to bring.
He's the best player on the planet now, so everyone is asking that question. We also have to ask him about the bigs being back because it is the time for us to talk about the bigs. That'll be fun. And this is our last show before we go on a little vacation next week. So we decided to do a little treat, have Greg, have the third co-host, share some knowledge, share some wisdom, and then let us have a good time and let you enjoy your week off while we enjoy our week off.
If you have listened to the show for a while, you know that Greg coming on is always a lot of fun. Greg's the best. He's always game. He to talk about anything. That's one thing I do appreciate about him, and I love about him is that there's nothing off limits with him. You can straight up call him a bust to his face, and he'll be like, "Yeah, I'm happy to talk about that." And he's
or laugh at you, and walk
or laugh
away.
or whatever it is. He's an open book, and we love him for it. So here you go. This is the entire show today. We spent a little while talking with my good friend, Tate's good friend, and those of you listening, the friends of the program, good friend.
You're good friend. You're your third co-host,
Greg Oden. Here it is. But first,
Woody Durham.
This is long overdue. We have our, as Tate calls him, the third co-host of Titus and Tate back on the show. When was the last time we talked to you, Greg? Was it in Durham before we did the live show? Before Carolina? Yeah, got their ass beat.
Yeah.
What happened? What happened in that game? I don't remember that.
Hey, you and your family stopped talking to me and Mark, and y'all left us.
Yeah, we were upset. 25-point blowout, but I was glad you guys were in Chapel Hill. And then Greg had to wear a Tyler Hansbrough jersey because Tyler Hansbrough decided to go play basketball professionally in China right before our live show. So Greg acted as Tyler Hansbrough. What great times. And then the world shut down not long after.
Wow. It is, man, it has been a while. So I guess if I remember right, the last time we had you on, I started with this question, and I feel like this is another, we should just make this a theme. How are you? Where are you?
Yes.
What are you doing? Give us the bullet points. Give the listeners an idea of the life of Greg Oden, your mindset, your day-to-day, however you want to frame it, Greg. What's going on in the world, Greg Oden?
Well, first, listeners, let's just start by the fact that Mark Titus, a guy that I've known since the 8th grade, is asking me live, what have I been up to? Since he got his new iPhone, the man doesn't answer any of my text messages back.
This
it
is
really
true.
Disappoints me.
This is true.
I brought this bullet point up.
I made a promise to you that when I switched from Team Samsung back to iPhone, that I wouldn't be one of these iPhone losers that makes a big deal about the green bubble. And I think I've lied to you, Greg. I think there's something about it that
it makes you standoffish.
Has given me a good explanation on why you can't text somebody back because it's green. It does nothing to me. That's one thing. So, Mark, I'm very disappointed in you. Two, I am currently here in Columbus, Ohio, getting ready for the Big Three.
Yes.
I am now the player captain of the Aliens. I'm excited. We got Brandon Rush, Shannon Brown, Andre Owens, and Renato Balkman.
Wow.
And head coach is Rick Mahorn.
What?
So, yeah. I'm excited, man. July 10th, Big Three. Most of our games are going to be in Vegas. 3 of them are going to be in New Orleans, and the playoffs and championship is going to be in the Caribbean.
What? Hold on. So you've kind of become like one of the faces of this thing. How did this come about? Or do you have Ice Cube on speed dial? Can you how did this all happen? Right? I thought this
you are a Heedle. You are a Heedle. So it makes sense because this is what Heedles do.
I thought this was a one-off thing, and then now all of a sudden, like you have become the Big Three. The Big Three is the Greg Oden franchise.
I don't know about all that. Please calm down.
Calm down.
But I got the call, man. They asked me.
Well,
that
it's
and getting ready for the big three. Training like I never have. I would say like I used to, but believe me, it's like that, like cut to like 1/8.
What what does training look like for we have an idea of what it's like to be in a college program and train for a college basketball season. We have an idea of what NBA players put themselves through in the off season because every single one of them will Instagram every single day that they're in the gym getting in work
Yes.
or whatever. What does training for the big three look like? What exactly? How glamorous is this, Greg? What are you
First
doing?
of all, for other people, it's a lot different. For me, for training for somebody with like 6 knee surgeries, it looks like 30 minutes of lifting weights, 25 minutes of elliptical, and 30 minutes of playing basketball. That's all I got. That's all my body can handle. But I'll be ready.
This is beautiful. You should pull a load management deal like Kawhi or whatever during the big three and just make up reasons to there's a lot of make up reasons to not play and just say this is all I got. I like the way you said that. You're like that's all I got left in the tank, and that
it really
is. Well, Greg, I have to ask you about, because I feel like in 2019 was really the last time for the Friends of the Program where they got to look into the Greg Oden's life. And that same year, you graduated from The Ohio State University. Everyone at home look at that right behind you.
I was about to say it's back here. It's up there.
Yeah. And can you tell the people, Greg, what you graduated in? It's sport industry, correct?
Sport industry, a degree in education, bachelor in sports industry.
And what does that mean?
And like everybody else says, I don't know what that means. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Well, to me, Greg, it means that you're an expert in the field of sport and in the industry itself. So like now we're happy to say that we have an expert.
So just so you know, I'm not an expert. I'm above average.
Exactly.
Guy in sports, I guess how I would look at it.
Well, we're going to call you an expert on the show. So we have to ask you about the sports world at some point because you are an expert. So we just have to set that up. And once again, congratulate you for graduating from The Ohio State University because, one, I love to see it. And two, we have so many questions, Greg, because basketball, the bigs are back. I don't know if you've heard this. The bigs are back. So we have to ask you because you're a bigs expert.
Yeah, let's start with that. Let's start with that. Jokic wins MVP, Greg. First MVP in the NBA since Shaq, who you and I love. We shared a love for Shaq when we were coming up because both of us thought we were going to be big men in the NBA. Only one of us turned out to be a big man. When we met in 8th grade, we both looked at each other like, "Oh my God, you and I are both going to be 7 feet tall in the NBA." We both idolized Shaq. We bonded over our love of Shaq. You kept growing.
Titus was
growing.
Young Eric Montross at the time.
Yeah.
But Jokic wins MVP. Nikola Jokic plays the game of basketball very differently than Greg Oden played the game of basketball. But you are both big men. He's very different than the way Shaq played, by the way. But you are all in the big man fraternity. Your thoughts watching a big man, a center, win MVP for the first time in a very long time?
Jokic, for one, congratulations. That was awesome. To see somebody that size dominate so much of the game, I think it was well deserved. And that sentence that I just said that y'all forget, he's just a 7-foot man. He dominates every aspect of the game, every game. He deserves to be the MVP. So does Joel Embiid. So does Giannis. He is a big man. And as y'all forget, KD is 6'10" and a half. These guys are big men.
Oh, okay.
They have not went anywhere. Have y'all not forgot this?
KD's a big.
I mean, and to be honest with you, LeBron James is not a point guard size. He is a big man. So just so y'all know, the bigs have always been here. But Jokic being technically the center to win since Shaq, I mean, the guy does everything. One of the things that changes the game, when he gets a rebound and decides to push the break. I mean, who's doing that? And I guarantee you guys, in 4 years, everybody's going to be doing that. I think I was watching TNT last night, and they was like, I wouldn't be surprised in 3 or 4 years that's going to be DeAndre Ayton doing
Absolutely.
the same thing, dominating, all areas of the game. So the big man's always here. It's just a 7-foot guy that decided to do it and show it, even though shout out to James Jones. Shout out to Chris Paul, Booker, Ayton. And I will say this, Ayton has been definitely disrespected by me a little bit as well, because I didn't see him doing Anthony Davis and the Joker like that. So respect to him.
What goes through your mind talking about what Jokic does, and you said Ayton, and you're throwing that out as an example. In 4 years, DeAndre Ayton is probably going to be leading the break, and the coaches of the NBA have trust in these guys to do stuff like that. That was not the case. We're not that old. I don't feel like you and I are that old, Greg. And yet, when you watch big men in the NBA and in college, not as much in college, more than the NBA, but the things that these guys not only can do, but are given the freedom to do is kind of shocking, given you were one of the best players in the country, first team All-American, obviously the #1 pick in the NBA draft. And when you're at Ohio State, if you would have caught the ball at the top of the key and like jab step and shot a three, I think Coach Mata would have pulled your scholarship. I think he would have been like, absolutely never, you know what I mean? And that was 2007. Like we talk about that like it was 1958. It wasn't that long ago. So you're still obviously I mean, Durant, we'll talk about him in a second. The same draft, he's still operating at peak levels. So it's not like we're that old, Greg. What goes through your mind though, watching the big men, and by big men I mean center, not literally big men, as you take it. What goes through your mind though, like watching the evolution of what these guys are asked to do? What, like guys like Joel Embiid, even, who in college his ass was just parked on the low block, and he was great, and he had great post moves and great footwork, but that's what he did. He was a big man. He just tried to dunk on people. Now he's shooting threes, all this stuff. What are your thoughts on all that?
Well, another guy I'm gonna add to that is Bam. I mean, these guys always have that stuff. And as you guys know, they get that freedom in the league that they don't get in college. Because as you said, I can be the #1 player in the universe. If in college, I take a three and jab step, take 2 dribbles, throw that shit out of bounds, I'm getting pulled. And as you guys know, these guys run a tight ship over there in college. So, when you trust in the guy, you give him a little bit more freedom, because I'm not going to lie, I've seen Zion and RJ have some terrible plays, but then I've also seen them have great plays too. So it's just about the coach and actually how good you are as a player if you're going to get that freedom. And when you get to the league, it's about finding the right system. As you know, there's a lot of guys that can be great on one team. You get to another team, that coach or that organization don't believe in them, so they're not going to play. They're not going to do well. And there's a lot of guys now, I remember hearing you guys talk about in the past, 2 episodes, just about there's a lot of guys that's going to weigh themselves out because they are, the long 3, 4, 2, a 6, 7 guy. I'm thinking about a Culver, and I even hate to say this, but, maybe a KBD, guys who are just in the middle of just all these guys. You got to dominate. You got to find the right spot, like a Hunter in Atlanta, a coach that's going to believe in you, give you the freedom to mess up. So that's my thought about it.
And you mentioned like organizations, and obviously, you played for Portland. There's a lot of, Greg, I don't know if you've seen this on the internet. There's a lot of, these meme pages, these NBA meme pages where they bring up the past. They say like, forgotten seasons is one of these. And I've seen this meme going around of you, B. Roy, LaMarcus Aldridge, and they have your record, when you guys were all healthy and you played together. I think you were 50-12. You were dominant. You and LaMarcus obviously were dominant. Brandon Roy, and one of my favorite players. If you didn't see Brandon Roy, for the people at home, go watch highlights. But that 3 that you guys had in Portland, have you seen this? Have you seen this graphic out there? And can you just say, can you say that you guys would have won so many, how many titles, Greg, if you guys would have stayed healthy? And we'll get that on the record just to let people know. You probably would have won 7 titles in Portland if that big 3 stays healthy.
I don't like how you just threw out 7. You got to say not 3, not 4.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. I skipped the Heedle line.
No, honestly, the only meme I have seen was that one when we were 52-12, because that's the only one that matters. Or at least the only one that I would look at and care about. All the other ones is probably negative. So I'm like, forget them.
Yeah, throw those out.
But no, man, I honestly don't know. There was one like little YouTube thing that somebody sent me, and they play it out if we would have had like 3 more years together healthy, and we would have been in the championship. I'm not gonna lie, I watched the whole thing. I might have got a tear.
If I can be devil's advocate, though, I mean, you could, like if we never saw what the Bucks did in the playoffs, we would say the same thing about like Giannis's run with the Bucks. Where you're like, man, if like if we never actually saw him in the playoffs, we would convince ourselves that Giannis was going to win like 4 titles, and it just never happened. And so, what if you guys, what if you just didn't have it, Greg? Like, what if you would have choked in the playoffs? What if like you were actually like
he's like, why are you turning this negative?
Well, I'm gonna say this. I was born in Buffalo, New York, so
it's in your blood.
It would run in my blood if we actually choked every time in the playoffs.
What about put yourself in Dame Lillard's shoes, who has become, I have said this a lot recently, and the more I think about it, the more true it becomes, the more I want to say it, that Dame Lillard is my favorite NBA player that I've never met, probably will never meet, and like have no reason to cheer for him other than just like he burst on the scene in the NBA. I was like, I love that guy. Yeah. And part of the reason why is because he represents the old school, like the kind of guys we grew up watching play, which is basically, long story short, he wants to stay at the one franchise forever. But it seems now that he basically carried everybody on his back and during their very short playoff run this year, it wasn't enough. Terry Stotts is fired. And they're kind of hitting the reset button in Portland. I'm worried, Greg, that Damian Lillard might ask for a trade. I'm worried that it might be like a back channel situation where he's like, I'm not going to ask for it, but I'm asking for it, but we're not going to make that public, but maybe ask for it, but maybe not. I don't even know how I'm putting you in an unfair spot to answer this because you played for the Blazers, but please just tell me that Damian Lillard, like, because I'm so sick of, like, I just saw today as we're recording this today, Zion Williamson is already, he's 12 games into his career and he's already wanting out of New Orleans apparently. Please tell me, give me hope that Damian Lillard will not do this and that he will just be the same guy that he's been this whole time, which is like, I'm going to stay here. I'm going to invest in what I have in front of me, and I'm not going to ring chase.
Well, I'm gonna give you guys a scoop. I was at this party one night, and Damian Lillard came up to me, and he told me personally not to tell nobody that he.
That was one of the best scoops of the
year.
He told me. You have me, by the way. You started saying that.
I know. I was like, wow.
I was looking at both of y'all. Y'all both had a straight face. I was like, really? Honestly, though, actually, from what I've heard about him, just as a person, like he's the type of guy that, he doesn't want to leave Portland. And honestly, I couldn't see him leaving Portland unless it was a chance for him to end his career back home in Oakland or San Francisco.
Yeah.
I think he's just, first off, he's good enough for us to look at it and say, well, Portland's never going to trade him. If they do, they're stupid. But as you all know, well, you guys are in the media, so y'all have to spin this narrative. Nobody wants to be traded. Obviously, guys who asked for a trade have heard for a whole year and a half that, he's possibly on the trading block. And he was like, well, damn, I just talked to the owner yesterday. That goes on for a year. And then he's like, man, I want to go. And then he's the bad guy. But we put it like that. Nobody wants to, leave an organization that's going to take a chance on them. And I don't think he's that guy to do it. But if he was, I wouldn't blame him for wanting to go home and, be where he really, like, that's his roots. He's Oakland through and through. Like, you can't, if Damian Lillard wants to retire in Oakland or San Francisco, what are you going to say to that? Like, if you're Portland, you're going to feel bad, but what are you going to say to that?
But if Damian Lillard, is he crazy? If Damian Lillard, because there's some people like, of course he wants to be traded. Of course he wants out of Portland. Why would he not? Like, who would want to play in Portland without much help? And he had the game. What game was it against the Nuggets? It all sort of blends together now. But whatever that game was in Denver, when he goes insane, scores 60, and it still isn't enough, and they lose. And I think there are a lot of people looking at that are like, he'd have to be out of his mind to want to stay in Portland. Do you think he'd be out of his mind if he said that? If Damian Lillard did say that today and was like, I want to retire a Portland Trailblazer, I want my entire career here, what does Greg Oden think?
I would think great for him.
Yeah.
And I would also think that y'all forgetting that one of the biggest cheerleaders for that city now and that organization is the man who's number 8 all-time scoring, a guy who, had a Nike deal when he was 19, 20 years old. He'd been in Portland, spent time in Portland, probably should have went to Portland at a younger age, but now he's there. He's going to be a mouthpiece for a lot of these younger, all-stars. People who are thinking, should I go out there, and play with this guy? We know Dame is a stand-up guy. Let me call Melo real quick and ask him what he really thinks about the organization, about the city. Like, how can we win out there? He's going to tell him, if you actually come out here and fall into place with what they got going on, it's going to be great basketball-wise. And also, it's not a lot of distractions out there in Portland if you don't go out there and find them like I
did. I mean, and
I didn't know better.
And you got Nike HQ there. You got Adidas just moved there. I mean, if you want to market yourself, I mean, why do you think the Dames are doing so great? I mean, he's got Adidas right next to him every single day. So, I mean, if you want to build a brand, Portland's a good place to be.
But you also got to know that when you go in there, it's a system put in place and everybody falls in line because you have one of the best leaders in the NBA, one of the best players in the NBA in Dame Lillard. So when you come there, we all follow his lead.
Yeah. And it's cool that, the greatest Olympian Carmelo Anthony, like you said, is like, I'm a role player with Dame Lillard.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people said he would never do.
Something special there, What Dame got going there, what they can build, there's something special there. So if you can come there, you can humble yourself and try to fit in, I think it can work. I think Portland would be a great place. And as you all know, I mean, my godson's there. It's a beautiful city and the food's there.
The food, they also have a wild fan base that I think is good. I need your take on this, Greg, because the Blazers fans to me feel like they almost feel like Pacers fans. The Blazers feel like the Pacers of the West, where they're trying so hard and they believe that, like, I'm so jaded, Greg. Like, I've convinced myself that the Indiana Pacers, the Portland Trailblazers, the Oklahoma City Thunder, the Memphis Grizzlies, these franchises will never, ever, 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 ever win an NBA title ever.
Thank you for not including the Charlotte Hornets. I really appreciate that. Greg, we have the Rookie of the Year.
There's 0% chance, and I think you can throw the Thunder in there. I guess all the franchises I mentioned have great fans, but the Blazers have always felt to me like similar to the Pacers, where there's too much pride in the organization to do a full reset. Let's tank. Let's try to game the. Let's do a trust the process situation. Whatever. We do not tank. We believe that the guys we have are good enough to get us the 6th seed and lose in the first round of the playoffs. Yeah. And God damn it,
Doug McDermott will take us to the 6th seed.
There is pride in that, and we're going to do that every single year. And I, being a guy from Indiana, I identified this early about the Pacers, and I was like, I'm out. I don't want this. This is stupid. This is a stupid ride. Like, we're never gonna draft the super duper stars. The best player they ever drafted was Kawhi Leonard, actually, and they traded him. Yeah. And then they draft Paul George, and he wants out. So anyway, my point is, Greg, that's always been the feeling I've had about the Blazers, which is like, it is the Blazers fans. It is on the one hand, it is awesome that they support their team so much. On the other hand, I feel like you're never going to win anything, and you guys are kind of naive about this.
So disrespectful, and don't you dare disrespect the man with one of the greatest nicknames ever in Dougie McBuckets.
Oh, no disrespect. I'm saying it's hard to get the 6th seed. You don't think I want the 6th seed? They beat the hell out of the Hornets.
Well, first off, and the Blazers got one championship, so they have one.
That's true. That is true.
that's
So
true.
that's very disrespectful of Blazers because the Pacers they hang that ABA and Conseco or Baker's
There's
Life.
a
That
bunch of
ABA
ABA ones.
Yeah.
Don't disrespect the Pacers either. But as a small market, I guess you look at it like, I mean, we're not getting that, big market money, New York, LA, Miami money every game. So we're going to get that extra pot if we make it to the playoffs every year. I don't care if we get out in the first round, we still get that little bit of pot as an organization.
Yeah.
And you just want a team that, the fans can be excited about. Now, the Pacers are good now, but a lot of these small market teams, I want to say about 6 years ago, it was like, don't even go to a game. Like, why are you here? But I think they just want, the fans to be really excited, and they want that opportunity, or they're all jumping into that David versus Goliath type of thing. We're going to take a bunch of guys not drafted, top picks, and we're going to fight the big dogs in the big cities and the big markets. And when you create that narrative, I think that's something that the fans can kind of get behind. I think the whole state can get behind something like that. I mean, I just love that feel. So I'm always still a Pacers fan. I still go up to the Cavs games, even though LeBron and Kyrie is not here. But we hope. We hope.
I mean, the Cavs have some talent. Isaac Okoro is really good. They got Garland and of course Colin Sexton. So there's something.
Yeah.
The thing about Portland too is that's all they got, right? Like that's the Blazers are the team. I guess the Pacers, Indy has the Colts too.
They have the Timbers, right? MLS. They have MLS.
Yeah, that's true.
That's about it.
MLS team.
And then they got the hockey team, like the AAA hockey team.
Yeah, yeah. I've seen the arena. Yeah, I don't know.
Should we talk about Kevin Durant? I feel like we have to every time he come on the show. His name has to get brought up. So he goes, just to be clear, let's revisit that. You still don't hate him. You still love the guy.
I've always loved the guy.
Yeah.
That's it. That's
on the record.
Very, very simple.
I love it.
Yeah. How could you not when you watch him play basketball? You know what I mean?
I mean, dude's an amazing basketball player, and still to this day, all my uncle talks about the draft was, your ass was too busy to talk to me, but I was sitting over there talking to KD and his people all the time. So he was always there. He was like, I'm waiting on your ass, and then KD is just like, what's up, big man? So, I always got respect to KD for all that. And I got more respect to his game. Man is freaking amazing right now. I wasn't sure he was going to play the whole game, but damn. I don't know what else to say. He did.
Yeah, that's pretty much the reaction. It was just like, man, this guy just dropped 49 points in 48 minutes and did everything, which is, and he's playing the 5.
And the crazy part is, he didn't have that great a game, and I know all he's thinking about is that one free throw that didn't get him to 50.
Straight up.
That's all I was thinking about. The last minute and a half, I was like, he really missed that free throw.
50 looks so much better than 49.
It dawned on me watching him go nuts, and as everyone, I don't know how to say it. It felt like for the first time, people were rallying behind Kevin Durant and cheering for him as a human being, almost more so than it's interesting, Greg, that you mentioned that you love his game, because it feels to me, and either of you can stop me if you disagree with this, but like for most of his career, he never really has had fans. He's had admirers almost. He's had people that like, I love his game, but the way he carries himself publicly, the way he carries himself through his burner accounts, the way he carries himself in press conferences, all that kind of stuff, he has an alienating personality around him. He has like he almost like wants no part of the extracurricular stuff. He doesn't want to be a role model. He doesn't want to be your favorite. Like if someone said Kevin Durant is my favorite player, I look up to him, I feel like he would tweet at that guy and be like, you're a bitch. This is stupid. Don't do this. Like that, like he if that feels like the essence of Kevin Durant. And because of that, it feels like people haven't really he doesn't have like a group of quote unquote stans, as they call them on the internet, like that people would fight for Kevin Durant. And it felt like the other night, game 5, when he's going nuts, that was like the first time people were like, I love this guy. I love what he's doing. I love the heart he's showing. I love how he's doing this under these circumstances, all that kind of stuff. I don't know. Would you agree with that?
I don't know if I would agree with that, just because I've been to DC before, and I know for a fact that everybody
That's
there
where his fans are.
Literally fight for him.
Okay.
Like literally fight you right there for him. So
yeah, PG County.
Yeah. But I know what you're saying.
It's a lot of internet stuff. I feel like that Kevin has heard. Yeah, it's like persona.
My from is, it's a lot of people that might feel a certain type of way about how he is, but if you never talked about him or never mentioned him or said anything about him, he would have no problem with you at all.
Right.
So your problem comes from how great he is at what he does, and you have to express that out loud. And as the person that's doing that, you're like, bitch, I'm me. Bitch, you just looking at me. Like, keep your mouth shut. Like me, I don't care. Honestly, I get on Instagram when I take a shit. Like, I don't read comments at all. So it's like, I don't care about any of that. You can say whatever. All I know is my daughter's good, my wife's good, my mom's good, my family's good, and I'm happy. I'm keeping the good spirits. I don't care what you say about me, because I've probably already thought worse about myself, and I just keep it moving. So,
but that's always been fascinating to me, though, the dichotomy of the two of you, of KD and you, that that I don't know. Obviously, I'm extremely biased. I could not be any more biased. I've been one of your very good friends for a long time, so I obviously like you more than Kevin Durant. But the idea publicly would be that Kevin Durant is living a happy life because his career, quote unquote, worked out. Yours did not so much. Durant is now, he's won Finals MVP twice. He's been crowned again the best player in the world now, that after the 49-point performance the other night. But then, like, I know you personally. I see how happy you are with your daughter. Well, maybe not when she's interrupting the interview, but I see how happy you are with your wife and your daughter and the life you've built for yourself in Ohio and the life you built for yourself outside of basketball. I'm also on the internet and I see Kevin Durant chirping at everybody, every 14-year-old with an internet connection, and I'm scratching my head and I'm like, maybe Greg's actually happier than Kevin Durant, even though the narrative is that Kevin Durant is the one that's happy and Greg Oden must be somewhere just crying his eyes out watching Kevin Durant score 49 points in a playoff game that he never got to experience that himself,
Well, I'm not going to lie to you. Every time he scores 49 points, I have a tear come out. And all his accolades, I would love to take. Like, all things, I'll throw this shit down. And I would take one of his checks from this year. I would throw all this
just one.
But look, I look at it. I can't be envious over anybody else's life. The only life I got to live is my own. Every step I take, where I wake up at, where I'm at, I got to make the best of it. And it took me a while to get to this space, honestly. It was a lot of crying, a lot of head downs, a lot of nights keeping to myself. But I want to enjoy this life. I'm going to make the best of it while I'm here. And I want my daughter to see that. Now, that's the path that I want for her. And as for KD, I'm pretty sure he's pretty happy. He's enjoying a lot of things. He has his hands in a lot of things. And I'm actually... For one, we don't actually say congratulations to him as we say to Mike as being an Oscar winner as well. Just so you know, he was the executive producer.
Yeah, KD also won an Oscar. Yeah.
So, right. I mean, I'm pretty sure just because everybody's eyes is on social media, you'd be like, oh, that's what he puts off, or that's what people think. But I mean, shoot, when he puts that phone down, he's putting it down in his sky-rise $10 million apartment in Manhattan, and then this guy is turning around and cooking food and taking a shit at the same time in his one bedroom, single. So I'm pretty sure he's a happy man. I'm pretty sure he's enjoying his life. And as we all saw, he's doing what he loves and he's the best at it in the world right now. Everybody sit and enjoy.
I have to ask, Greg. that was beautiful. That was beautiful for Kevin. I think Kevin would love that. Do you have like any team that you're watching, Greg, that has really won you over in the playoffs? Like that you're just like, I think I might be pulling for them. Is it the Suns? It feels like America's fallen in love with the Suns. And you know, you can go with it. The Nets, obviously.
I swear to God, if you say the Nets, we're done. We're stopping this interview if you say the Nets.
So you know what's funny? I'm gonna pull this out. My NBPA top 100 buck.
Ooh.
So me and Coach Mage, Mark, have been talking.
J. Cole, by the way, I'm gonna cut in. That's the guy who coached J. Cole in Africa.
The Rwanda Patriots.
Yes.
And he was one of our coaches at OSU. So me and him just talked basketball through the pandemic. And I'm going to tell you right now, he asked me to do a team to do a scouting report a year ago. And my scouting report was on the freaking Phoenix Suns.
Wow.
So I've been looking. I was like, dude, their offense is freaking amazing. They always moving. They put their pieces in the right spots.
Yep.
Cameron Payne, Cam Johnson, and Bridges are just great pieces.
Love Cam
on
Johnson.
That bench. And you know, Coach Monty is in a space now where he's empowering everybody to dominate what you do. And then adding CP and Jay Crowder, some vets that are going to come in, bring some toughness, and just bring that veteran leadership. I mean, it's all falling into place. And I always got to give a shout out to Champ, James Jones. He's doing a great job over there.
A fellow Heedle. All the Heedles stick together forever.
What's the Heedle group chat like? Did LeBron start a group chat? Was it D Wade that started the
They probably wouldn't put me in it because I got an Android. And I didn't win a championship.
You didn't win a championship with them.
That's right.
But as you said, Mark, I won the Eastern Conference championship.
That is true. That's what LeBron. Yeah, that's how LeBron.
Yeah, as long as you get to the finals, you're a champion.
Which one hurts more? Losing in the NBA finals or losing to Florida in 2007?
It was losing to Florida because of that gator chomp. When we walked off the court and all the people was doing that gator chomp, it really made me want to cry. And I was like, "You're doing this to kids, you know that, right?"
You're doing this to kids. Like, well, somebody think of the kids.
Looking at me,
the children.
Like, just trying to get to my locker.
Greg, that's a good move for you if you're trying to figure out something to do with your free time. I think a good bit for you. I've been on this for a while, but I think maybe I can hand this to you. You should petition the NCAA to put a rule in place that if you win a title, one of your starters has to go pro. They have to. Like Florida bringing back all 5 starters from the 2006 team should have been illegal, right? Like, I think that's a good cause for you to campaign. Do you shoot a PSA? You're like, I'm Greg Oden.
Yes.
This bullshit.
You could not return your starting 5.
Cost me a title, and I'm here to say this is bullshit.
I would love to say that, but the number one thing, Florida winning the title and then bringing back all 5 starters is the most NCAA thing that can possibly happen for the NCAA.
Yeah,
like,
they love it.
They were literally, yes, we're all coming back. Yes, come back to school for free.
What about?
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense.
Oh my God!
But and that's weird. Like, I am, the guy who left after 1 year. I mean, Coach Mata basically laughed at me in the office. Was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, I'm thinking about it." He was like, "No, you're not." Like, no, go
get out.
He's like, "Greg, we don't have a spot for you. Costa Koufis is coming in. He's going to take your starting spot anyway."
I mean, it's going to happen. And then, Mark Titus, I'm going to return for my second year at The Ohio State University.
Legendary.
We just got to play. Damn, I forgot where I was going there. But I actually do. Like, I actually think there's a lot of guys that should stay, man. A lot of guys can mature. I mean, I look at a bunch of guys that I feel like if you want to be good in this league, if you want to get drafted, top 20, just stay one more year. Like, there's a lot of guys that left this year that I'm like, dude, if you came back and had the exact same year, you would literally be drafted top 10. Like, all you gotta do is just not be terrible, you know. And then
Day'Ron Sharpe,
a little bit mature helps as well.
Oof.
I'm not gonna say no names, but I got.
Well, I am because my heart's broken, Greg.
No, I'm glad you said that, Greg, because I think anytime anybody makes that case, it's usually idiots like Tate and I, or coaches that it is always like people who have a vested interest in wanting these guys back, because honestly, if all the best,
like you
players,
said, we don't want to be the NCAA jerking off to being like, we got him to come back for free.
If Jalen Suggs announced he was not going to the draft and he was coming back to Gonzaga, that's ultimately great for Tate and I. Now, we're not going to make like thousands and thousands of dollars off of that decision, but it'll help us. More people are interested in college basketball, more people listen to our show. But it feels like most of the people that make the case is that these guys should come back and it'll help their careers, or it'll help them get drafted. I think the public rolls their eyes and they're like, you're just saying that because you're the coach of
you're a hater, you're trying to block them, you're trying to keep them
you want
back.
them to play for free, you want to keep them down, but you're saying straight up that you, as a man who was faced with that decision, it is not necessarily the worst thing in the world to come back to school.
Well, as a guy who watched SportsCenter a lot, when you guys say in the media, you guys definitely mean you want him to come back and play for free. 100%. That's what it sounds like. That's what I feel like when you guys say it. But when I say
I always do get mad.
Greg's like, when I say it, I'm saying it because it might help them mature. When you say it, you're pressing. He's like, come here, chill out.
That's what I see. I'm sorry. I don't care if it's SDP or not. When you say it, I'm looking like, no, go get the bag, bro. Please.
Yeah.
No, but honestly, I kind of look at it because you can see guys' games, and I kind of can evaluate just playing at that level, both levels, and watching a lot of basketball. You can kind of see what games is going to carry over. If being a little bit mature is going to help your game carry over to the NBA game, They're usually listening to people who's only seen them in high school and only watching their high school games and, playoff NBA games, thinking that they can be that. They're not watching, other high school games, other college games, actually seeing what that game is going to carry over to and how it's going to carry over to the next level and what that can do. Or even knowing the kid and his maturity level. How is he going to handle, getting $1 million, just like that at the age 19? It's just different things that everybody has to think about. And I mean, I kind of can see it a little bit better because I experienced it,
Yeah.
on three aspects. So that's where my mind comes from.
What was, you're speaking of getting $1 million, you got a lot more than that when you were 19. What was as you look back on it now that you're in your 30s, what was the thing, I guess, that you can share with us? Maybe off air is the real answer, but what was the thing that you bought or you did, or your moment where you're like, you look back on it and you're like, I should not have been given that much money or that much power at the age of 18 or whatever it was?
Well, first off,
it's good when you say, well, first off.
First off, I shouldn't have been given the power to make decisions at 18, 19. I'm just throwing it out there right now. I wish somebody actually would have sat me down and really, as a young, terrible, bullheaded 19-year-old, said, look, this is what we think, this is why. Here go our reasons. You let me know your reasons, and actually let's just meet in the middle, but actually have that conversation like that. Not just make a decision for me, because then I'm 19 and I'm like, my money. No. He's not moving out there with me. And Mark, you know who I'm talking about.
Yes.
So,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
If I actually would have had that conversation and actually somebody actually sat me down and explained to me more, that probably would have been better in decision making. But my Charger, man. 2006 Charger, man. The Charger, I put more in the Charger than the Charger cost, and most of it was in the trunk. So I'm over there showing them all the shit.
That's so mid 2000s. I love it.
Buttons, showing them all the stuff in the trunk, and
the height of Pimp My Ride.
Yeah, oh my God. They're looking at me like, bitch, that's in the trunk. Like, nobody knows. All I know is the back of my car weighs a lot more than everything. I'm instantly leaning, but that was a terrible money decision that I made. But yeah, like I
That's
guess
not too bad.
age, you want guys to help you explain more because you give me some money and power. Like I told my mom when I turned 21, I'm a grown ass man, mom.
That's not too bad though. A Dodge Charger's not, you weren't buying a Lamborghini. You weren't buying what did Daquan, is this true that I if it's not true, don't tell me because I've always wanted to believe it's true because it's just hilarious to me that when Daquan was put in that position, Daquan Cook, I'm talking about for listeners that might not track who I'm talking about here. When he got like his first big NBA check, he bought like 17 TVs and put them in his living room of his house and just like had them haphazardly thrown about. That's what somebody told me. One of the many mutual friends that you and I have that know Daquan well. Do you know this to be true or not? Because I pictured Daquan just like unboxing these TVs and just laying them around his house. and only turning 3 of them on, and then
also like, teammate of Kevin Durant,
having like big timers music videos on all the other 15 TVs that aren't showing, and just sitting there rolling dice.
Like, wouldn't it blow the fuse if they're all plugged in one room? But I do not know this story to be true. But I can honestly say to you right now, in my house, I have 15 TVs. And 6 of them are in my basement, and they're smart TVs just sitting there. So anybody watching this, reach out to me because I don't want to sell them on eBay or take the pictures, but I have them here.
I don't want to take the pictures to sell them.
I have inventory. I'm looking to move some inventory. So
please reach out to Greg Oden on Cameo and ask for his inventory.
Look, one of the things people don't tell you when you get older as a grown man, I am inherently a hoarder. You guys don't know this, but I have this bullshit ass ice hockey table in my basement that I got from another hoarder by the name of Mark Titus a good 5 years ago.
Dude, I foisted that on you so hard. I want to get rid of that. I wanted to get rid of that air hockey table so badly. I was like, Greg, you got a big new house. You need an air hockey table, don't you? He's like, yeah, I think I do. I was like, yes.
And that was just in the way. Like, I could have a whole workout area right there. This ice hockey table is just sitting there, not plugged in.
Yeah.
Jammed with like 3 pucks. I don't know.
What how's your money now? Like, not, we don't need to know numbers, but I get that's always a question that people have too. Like, guys retired from the NBA. That becomes a story sometimes. You hear of guys that go bankrupt and mismanage their money and all that kind of stuff. I guess if we're just doing like a thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle, how did you manage your money well enough? Because the Dodge Charger, that's not the worst thing, Greg. Like, honestly, if we were ranking like NBA players and absurd things they've done with their money, pimping out a Dodge Charger is not very high on the list, if we're being honest.
Yeah, you're right. But thank you for this transition, because now you guys get to be quiet and I get to plug.
Yes.
What I do now, fellas, I am an athlete advisor for a financial education company called EduCore, because as you just asked, I've went through, some ups and downs with my money. And I'm not going to say it was downs, but I'm going to say after retiring and those checks not being the same and my spending being the same, obviously my money went down.
Yeah.
And when I actually took a look at it, I realized, what my financial advisors was doing for me at the time just wasn't adding up to my lifestyle. So I made a change with a great person over there at Morgan Stanley by the name of Matthew Terwilliger, our ex-teammate, great financial advisor here in Columbus, Ohio. Love him to death because he really got me back on the right track. To where,
what the hell? I give him my money too, and he doesn't. He does not put me on the right track.
No, he puts it in Greg's account.
He puts it in your account. What the hell's going
happening? Because I'm good.
Greg said this is awesome.
But I will put it like this, Mark. I would like to get your current income checks right now.
No, this is what I was going to tell you. I noticed this when Greg got done playing and he was kind of settling into domestic life in Dublin, Ohio. He would talk to me all the time about money. Not like, numbers per se, but just like a general sense of like, shit, I don't have any. Like, I'm not in the NBA anymore. I'm broke. And I always got the feeling, Greg, that you were saying that because you were spending a lot of time around Mike and you're going to Mike's house and watching Mike fly. And I was like, Greg, you need to stop hanging out with Mike because Mike will make anyone feel like they're poor. Come over to my house. Look at my air hockey table.
I intentionally not hung out with Mike because I didn't want to feel like that for like a couple of years.
Yes.
I loved him to death, but I just felt a certain type of way. And if anybody tells you differently, I was like, look, I love you to death, Mike, but goddamn, it's a nice ass house.
Yeah. Mike, you got like 7 people living in this house that I've never met that are just like walking around like cleaning shit and do like he's on another level. We love him for it. And he's the same dude. He's the same dude that we knew when we were in 8th grade, you know? Like that's what's awesome.
Every time they show him on TV during the games, I'm like, God, look at that fashionista that they're making. I was like, you know, that dude's going home to play video games.
Yeah.
I swear. He's going to play with his kids and play video games till he goes to sleep.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And he's made out to be like, yeah, he's I don't know what my point was, Greg, that you would, I don't know, you got to spend more time around me and less around Mike, and you suddenly realize how much money you have.
So this is my first time actually being here since the last time I saw you. You got to tell my new California Mark Titus story.
Oh, nice.
So me and my wife are at the hotel next to the restaurant that we're meeting Mark at. Swear to God, we're just walking up. I'm looking, I'm like, all right, we're gonna see Mark here soon. Let me go check in. And I just see Bradley Cooper just sitting on the sidelines, just sitting there putting his hand through his hair. Just like, it was slow-mo. I swear we was walking up, it was slow-mo. It was just like, I look over, I'm like, Mark, are you kidding me? Like, he didn't stop moving in slow-mo either. It was weird. Like, California Mark is different. Like, he has a great tan. This is South Carolina Mark right now in this video.
Yeah.
But his tan is amazing. His hair looks beautiful. I love this California Mark. I'm not going to lie to you.
You do?
Changed so much, and I love you.
I'm glad you. I want to
look. He's got a California shirt on right now. That's how much he is California Mark.
Well, I'm curious, Greg, because this is something. I mean, Tate is not from the Midwest, but he's from North Carolina, which Tate called the Midwest. What'd you say? The South.
The South of the North. Yeah.
Yeah. The Midwest is the South of the North, so we feel like we're kindred spirits in that regard. So he's from a similar vibe that we're from, and he now lives in LA, and he's gone LA in a lot of ways. Like I've I'm around Tate. I've been around Tate when we're in LA, and I've been around him when he's with his family in North Carolina, and he's different. And so like I see how he's gone LA. So help us through this, Greg, because you are a Midwestern guy, and you're back in the Midwest. We shouldn't. You're saying we shouldn't apologize for going to LA, like because that weighs on my conscience at all times. That I've turned my back on my people.
No, but you guys got to keep that Southern, that Midwest heart.
Okay.
You're out there, once you start being fake and not texting people back, just
because of the green text.
It gets really weird, man. You start to change. And as a lot of California people like to say, it's not the people here that's from California, it's everybody else that comes from. So as long as you guys keep your heart, keep that Southern Midwest spirit to you and bring that to Cali, don't you dare complain about that, and just let me visit.
You're welcome anytime, Greg. Anytime.
Come visit. I want to ask you, pivoting away from my hair. I want to ask you about this. Isn't quite as timely as it maybe would have been like a month ago, but Kwame Brown, that whole is he Tate? You know more than I do. Is he still like going after people? Kwame Brown, has that died down a little bit?
I think he's died. He's turned down a little bit.
He's turned it down a little bit.
I think he did what he had to do,
But it made me think of you, Greg, because Kwame was basically on this crusade about throwing haymakers at everyone that called him a bust. And obviously, I don't know if this is breaking news to you, but people have used that word to describe your career and all that kind of stuff. Were you wait, what? Were you following this with Kwame Brown was just basically like, I don't know how to even explain it. So it's for those of you listening that don't have any idea what I'm talking about. I wouldn't even know how to explain. Like, he was just going on a crusade just
Kwame Brown let the people know that did not know what he did on basketball courts, and he played 12 years in the NBA. So basically, just put people on alert that, hey, I had a pretty solid NBA career. You don't know anything, and if you're making fun of me, you don't know shit because I really did this. You know,
I'm going to assume some small part of you was just like nodding along as Kwame Brown, as these videos of Kwame Brown is coming around. You're just like,
like
I'm
you're saying
the,
preach.
I'm picturing the Russell Westbrook interview where he's like, that's interesting. You know, he makes that face, and that's what I picture Greg doing as all this is going on.
Well, for one, if the video is longer than 2 minutes, I'm not watching the whole thing.
yeah. I mean, that's true.
Pieces. Two, Kwame Brown actually came at everybody that mentioned him. So I'm just going to say, this is just my opinion about the situation. I'm not talking about him in any way. And that's just a disclaimer for you, Kwame. And third,
Greg's like, don't come at me.
Don't you dare. That'd be hilarious if Kwame starts like everyone that's called him a bust. He's like, the real bust is great. Like, there's just a fight with you too.
So third, it's only like what, 76, 77 of us. And I'm talking about #1 draft picks in the NBA draft. So we're in a very unique category. So respect. You can't call that man a bust in anything, because no matter if we don't make it to Springfield or not, that guy that makes it to Springfield, they're going to say, yeah, he was drafted 4th, you know, #1 was such and such. So my name will get to Springfield one way or the other. I'm just throwing that out there right now. But honestly, man, I found it freaking hilarious. Everything I saw was amazing. I enjoyed it. And the one thing I will say to a lot of people coming at him, this is a man who's been a #1 draft pick, played in the NBA for 12 years, experienced a lot of life, and stayed quiet through a lot of life. So he's now taking advantage of social media. How these young kids take advantage of social media, the things that man can say, the people he could talk about if he wanted to, that's a scary thing. I'm going to enjoy it when it happens.
Yeah, I mean, he has to be the only #1 pick ever to not have people talk about him, because all they talked about was Michael Jordan. He was going to play with Michael Jordan, so no one really even cared when he was a #1 pick. They're just like, he better be setting screens for Michael. I mean, that was from day one. So he really never got a fair shake anyway. It was, like you said, though, hilarious all around.
When you do a similar crusade, promise you'll do it on our show. Just come on here and we'll
Never.
But
no, for real, tell you guys everything you want to know outside the cameras.
Yeah, right.
But other than that, no.
Yeah, you'll do it off camera. No,
I'll do it off camera. I will tell you everything you want to know off camera. But
you mentioned earlier about how you kind of had to the process of, you know, digesting what your new life is, what your old life was, where you thought your life was going, all that kind of stuff. You're in a good spot now. We know. I was thinking though, Greg, because recently Mark Eaton passed away, the big guy for the Utah Jazz, and I saw Pablo Torre of ESPN put out this clip that he did a video thing with Mark Eaton where he was interviewing him, and he was like, I got to know Mark Eaton through doing this, and he tweeted it, and I watched it, and he I guess he made this a few years ago, but in it Mark Eaton was talking about the whole thing was like talking about him walking around. Would he live in Utah still probably? And how everywhere he went he was the tallest man, and everyone just like gawked at him, and they couldn't, you know, they were just like wanted to stop, and he was almost not even a real human being. He was like a circus act to these people. And whether they knew he played basketball or not, that's what the conversation came back to. And obviously that makes me think of you too, because you know, my question would be is as you're looking to move along in your life and kind of put basketball behind you, how do you have that balancing act of wanting to put the past in the past and say, like, I'm not defined by my basketball playing career, but at the same time know that every time you leave your house in Columbus, Ohio, people are going to come up to you and be like, dude, that game against Florida when you had one hand and you were dominating Brewer and Horford, oh, that was so cool, man. And that other game, and like, that's all anybody talks to you about. How that's an ongoing process, right? Like, is that is your light? Like, is this something you think you have you learned to accept that part?
Well, first off, I just turned to Sports Center and just saw this about Rick Carlisle.
Yeah, right. Crazy.
No, like
Crazy.
literally just turned it. Like it was just like, wait, what? But secondly,
that was the best question I've ever
asked. I actually want to go down this road because I heard you guys talk about what's it called? The guy there with the Mavericks. What's his name?
H-Bob. Yeah,
yes.
Harlabob. Yeah. Haralabob.
Hey, I will come back to that question, Mark, but I just want
to that was the best question
about this right now because I heard that whole entire conversation. I found it hilarious. Now to see that, okay, coach won't come and Donnie Nelson is not returning. Is that not even a greater ending for you?
I mean, that's a W for the H-Bob camp. That's for sure. That. because I haven't seen the report that said H-Bob is out yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They haven't said that yet.
I was just waiting for that. And I just kept looking. I was like, damn. Okay.
Yeah, it's very Game of Thrones. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but when Luka leaves, though, I think at that point you're like, all right, what's
you're like, what was there? You're like, what was really going on here?
Wait, it's too much.
Actually, the unicorn shouldn't leave either because I mean, nobody wants to say it. He might have been injured. He might not weigh as much as people hope, but
it's a unicorn. I like
it. Shooting a 3-point shot from, and it don't even touch the rim. I'm sorry, that man's good. As I said, the bigs have always been here,
and they're never leaving.
Okay, but yeah, dude. I mean, people talk to me about when I played. To me, I just own it because it is a big part of my life. It's not my only life. It's not all that I do, but it is a big part of my life. It is a big part of why some people, recognize me or notice me. I mean, I definitely wear Ohio State basketball gear everywhere I go here in Columbus. So
so you can't be too mad. Yeah, you can't be too mad if people. Yeah.
But I mean, I'm 7 feet tall, and people are just always amazed at us when we're that big, and the only thing they know is basketball. Somebody ever asked me if I played volleyball, I might sit down and have a meal with that man. So amazing. Like, you actually thought that? Oh, man,
Or someone comes to you like, are you a doctor?
Tuesday on campus.
Dude, you should you come to like Manhattan Beach or something, and maybe one person will be like, dude, did you play beach volleyball growing up? Maybe you got to change your scenery or the place you're hanging out or whatever. Who do you get?
You can find Chase Budinger again. I'm still mad he won McDonald's All-American MVP.
Dude, this is a great idea for some video content. Come out to LA. We'll go to Manhattan Beach, and the three of us will play beach volleyball. We'll play pickup beach volleyball. Like Richard Jefferson's down there, I know. Luke Walton hangs out down there and played. Steve Nash is down there. He used to be until he.
Chase is a professional volleyball player now.
Like I know, that's why I was talking shit. Just so you know, it's not a thing against Chase. I was just talking shit because I know how great he is.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm nervous about that, so we maybe not play him, but let's do it.
Who do you get mistaken for now? Is it still the same cast of characters, or as you get older, is it do you have people?
I mean, it's still LeBron. It's Joel Embiid.
We when we were in Columbus, we were walking around and someone came up to Greg and said, are you Joel Embiid? And then I looked at Titus and I said, what a stupid question. Like what? But Greg just laughed it off.
I can't remember if I've ever asked you this before, but I'm going to ask it again. If so, who do you want people to think you look like? Ooh. Who would, if someone if there's like, hey, is that blank? And they say this name and you're like, oh my God, thank you. No one's ever asked me if I played volleyball or if I am blank.
I mean, I would always want to be Will Smith, just so you know.
Yeah.
Can you imagine someone?
Maybe that's what I'll say to Greg next time I see him out in public. Oh my God, is that Will Smith?
And I would literally just start doing the dance.
That is
I don't mind being called LeBron. I actually enjoy it. It was just that one time, and Mark, I've told you this story. I think it was like I was watching like a LeBron game, and somebody walks up to me. It was live and goes, "Are you LeBron James, bitch? You watching the same thing as me? There you go."
You should have said, "Yeah, I got to get back to the game."
All right. Now, and then the other one, I was in Miami, and I forget I had just ate somewhere. I was like standing on the corner. I was just waiting on everybody to come out, like literally at the corner of the street, no security, nobody around me. Guy walks by and goes, "Are you LeBron James?" I said, "Bitch, I'm standing on the street corner by myself. Do you think LeBron James would be doing this?"
Just hanging out.
Those are the only 2 times I actually was mad that somebody called me LeBron. But shoot, I like it. Shoot, call me the greatest player on the planet. I'll take that.
I mean, you are a hero at the end of the day.
Hey, I appreciate it.
Everybody listening, if you see Greg, you have to ask him if he's Will Smith. I think that's the lesson we've learned here. That's what
actually ask Will Smith if he's Greg Oden.
That's even better.
I just want I want Will Smith to know that I'm on this fitness journey with him. I'm trying to lose weight like him.
Oh yeah. Did you put on weight during the pandemic?
I actually did not. For some reason, I decided to work out 5 days a week since like beginning of December, because I didn't want to start in January, and I'm actually down.
What's the biggest difference for you coming out of some skill you learned, something? How did you change for better or worse from the start of the pandemic to now coming out of it?
I'm more intentional with what I want.
Okay.
That's the one thing that I just decided I wanted to do. And, me and you talk, Mark, about other stuff that didn't happen. But I think in my life, for what I want, the steps that I'm going to take, I'm going to look. I always sit back now. I look and see what I want and where I want to go. And then I take that first step. I'm not skipping steps anymore. So if I want something, I'm going to be intentional with my movements and my decision making to get what I really want. It's a process, but I think during this pandemic, I actually got to see some things in my life didn't work. There's a reason why. I'm going to be more intentional with what I really want in life, and do everything that I need to do to get it.
Man, that's inspirational. I love that.
There you go.
Greg, I'm fired up.
Face right now. He was looking like, bitch. I dare say something nice on this.
Yeah.
Greg, how dare you?
I was hoping you'd be like, I finally learned how to hit out of a bunker or something like that. But that's nice too.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I actually did learn how to line up when I hit. I've been taking some golf lessons, man, and for some reason I didn't know it was as simple as arms being a little bit higher on this side.
That's all it is. All it is a tip. Everyone's looking for the right tip, Hey,
and I've been hitting that thing. I'm excited, man.
My
golf guy told me that I still need to get an extension on my clubs.
Yeah. Yes. Tate, remember when you tried to make it a bit where every time you talk about Greg, you just mentioned he was a scratch golfer?
Oh yeah,
Tate was trying to sell America on the idea of Greg Oden, scratch golfer.
Like when people wrote stories, I wanted them to be like, just like Chase Buttinger, like we were talking about him being a volleyball professional. I wanted people to be like, damn, Greg Oden could be a pro golfer if he wanted to be, but he just wants to chill. He's just living that life.
You tried? Okay, that's cool.
We're gonna try again. I think we read it back up now that you got your whole forearm figured out.
That would never work. I have Nike clubs right now. Like, what am I gonna do with these Nike clubs? I try to get them fixed. I can't get them fixed nowhere. Like, I just got to get a whole new set. I would never be a scratch golfer. At least get fucking new clubs.
That's what I did, Greg. I had all Nike clubs because I was a Tiger Woods brand loyal, diehard. I had Nike irons, Nike driver, Nike Ignite, Nike everything. And then Nike quit because they quit on Tiger, and then I had to get Titleist clubs. I went back to what Tiger used to use before Nike made clubs. So Titleist might be the way.
Titleist, I'll look into that.
All right, perfect.
Do you have how is your my mind's all over the place. I don't know why I thought of this, but how's the clout situation for Greg Oden these days in terms of because I heard you say, like, I don't know. I won't explain how I got here, but I'm just curious. Do you do you find yourself, do people still never mind, I'm gonna abandon that question.
No, go. I want to answer it because I already got a half an answer.
I'm curious, like, I was with, like, was this the last time we really spent time together? You came out to LA, we grabbed dinner one time, but before that I think it was Vegas. And one thing I'm always amazed by you is, like, you are amazed when people care about you. in terms of getting excited. You will give people the time of day. If they come up to you and they're like, Greg Oden, oh my God, I can't believe I'm meeting you. You're partially like, I will give you the time of day because you're a human being, but also you're like, why would you care about me? I'm just like a normal dude. I don't really understand this. So with that, I was gonna say we went to Vegas and we went to the Ohio State Kentucky game in Vegas, and you get asked to come up to the suite of the rich dude, the boosters for Ohio State, and your whole attitude towards the deal was like, I can't believe this is happening. This is crazy. And my attitude watching your attitude was like, you're the number one pick in the draft, dude. Like, what do you shared a stage with Justin Timberlake at the ESPYs, and you're like, think it's weird that like rich dudes from Ohio would want you in their suite. And I guess so that brings me full circle to the question I was going to ask is like, does that stuff
is that still happening?
Is that still happening for you, Greg? Are you still getting these opportunities?
Well, honestly, I didn't expect to have actually serious answer for this, but to that last part, speaking about that Vegas and my reactions to people inviting me up to stuff like that, because I wasn't taught at an early age that you're supposed to network with these people.
Yeah.
Dude, I was a number one draft pick. I'm on the stage with Justin Timberlake and I'm just doing it and then keep it moving and keep it to myself, not thinking that, the key to life is network. Yes. You meet Justin Timberlake, have a conversation with them, exchange contacts, maybe hit them up just to say hi,
Yes.
Keep on building these relationships. One of the best things you can do just in this life. And at that young age, I did not know that. And then to go back to my unserious answer, dude, I got a lot of clout, bro. My cameo is popping.
Greg
Oden, I got a video for you, 30, 45 seconds. Cameo, baby.
I knew it was blowing up. Yeah, I'm fired up after that. Greg, can I ask you my last question that I have for you? Can I get your thoughts on Coach K's farewell tour? And just how you feel about him taking this year to remind people of his greatness in the basketball world.
Well, first, I want to say congratulations on calling it 2.5 years ago.
Thank you. Thank you, Greg.
2.5 years ago.
Yeah, it's true. Don't check the numbers.
Honestly, he deserves it. He's one of the greatest coaches, greatest teachers of young basketball mind.
We're gonna cut all of this.
We're sending this to Coach K. So keep going, Greg.
First off, dude, some of the most powerful people in the entertainment world, as you guys know, come from Duke University, and everybody there has walked around and
true.
He deserves a whole farewell tour on ESPN while we all watch. And but honestly, no. As a basketball fan, as an ex-player, as somebody who just respects the game, he definitely.
As an expert in the sport industry, yes.
Yeah. As an expert in the sport industry, yes. He deserves it, man. All the guys that's played under him in the league now, in coaching positions and management positions. Through USA Basketball, everything he's done from the dream team, being an assistant coach to being a head coach the past few years, bro. He's affected this game more than anybody can even say.
This is so genuine. This is so good.
Yeah.
Thank you, Coach K.
Did he recruit you at all?
No.
He was recruiting Costa Kufis. He was like, more my style.
It's Josh Wood there. Josh McRoberts went to Duke, and so he
chose McRoberts.
Like K's coming to our AAU games when McRoberts is a senior, and he's watching Greg.
Well, for one,
they have a type.
From what I've heard, or what I thought, this is my own thought, that he just said, well, the high school rule's still in. This kid's going straight to the pros.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right.
And I was like, no, since I've been a freshman, I said I want to go to college. I want that experience. How about listen to me, not the rules?
That's a good get out of jail free card for those guys with you. Anyone who didn't recruit you, they just thought you were going pro.
Yeah, they're like, he's too good. He's just too good.
Then somebody's going to tell me like, no, he's just. And I'm just gonna be like, well.
Yeah, take back what you said.
That's everything I just said.
What would you still go to college now if you were the number one player in the country? Would you go to the G League? Would you go to overtime? Would you go? Oh, another thing. Throw this into the mix as well. I was having dinner with Reese, who and we played golf with Tate, but for the listeners, Reese was a guy that played on our AAU team, and we were just reminiscing of the good old days of the AAU team. And one thing that stood out to me, Greg, was all of us, every single guy, as I think back on it, on that AAU team, and I certainly don't matter as much as the rest of you guys, but all of us went to public high schools in the towns that we lived in, which is kind of insane to think about it in the modern context of it, that not only did all of you guys, we had 5 NBA guys in the starting 5. Not only did none of them go to prep schools, none of you guys even went to the private schools. None of you went to Burbuff or, I don't know, Cathedral or whatever else there was to, and so I guess my question is now, put yourself in 16-year-old Greg Oden shoes in 2021. Do you think you played out the exact same way, or do you think you're going to La Lumiere, and then after you graduate from La Lumiere, you're signing at the overtime league, and then after the overtime league,
you go to the big 3?
You're the number 8 pick in the draft because you've tanked your draft stock by going that round.
Well, from my upbringing, I would not want to leave and go to college in freaking high school or 8th grade. That just, I would want to be around my family. I wouldn't want to be around my mom, my friends. That's how I looked at it, I wouldn't go to school every day and be around the people that I live around, that I grew up with. But that's a different mindset than these kids, because they come up thinking, I'm just going to make it to the league. I want to make money playing basketball before anything. But I'm not going to lie to you. If that G League, knowing everything that I know now, why would I make the decision to go to college and play for free, get taken advantage of? And as you guys said,
oh wow,
Pivot just walks out the back door with the bag, and everybody else is like, wait, no. It's like, why would you make that decision if you had the opportunity to make close to 100,000, doing what you love? I mean, I would go to private school if you still rank me number 1 player. I got to be with my friends all my life, and now I'm about to make me, close to $100,000. Why would I not do that? I get to still live a life. I get to have my friends here. It means I just got to do basketball 3-4 hours out the day, take care of my body, and then, take care of the rest of my family. Why would I have to go to school now and do all this? And then with that being said, I'm still a champion for kids going to college, because I know the experience I had and what I learned in that atmosphere, but it got to be for you. But if you can be a top 10 pick, that's a decision you got to make.
Well, then can you just say the words so we can make a nice little graphic and tweet it out and get some traction on this thing to say, if I was coming up today, I would have gone to the G League. Just say those words so then we can put the quote and then put the you know what I'm saying? And then we can get that circulating and put it on Reddit and shit and like have people comment on it.
And then when people ask, we'll just say, well, you liked it because you're Greg and you like G. So you're like, I play the G League.
Via the Titus and Tate podcast. Greg Oden
on the
says,
Titus and Tate podcast, Greg Oden says no.
You would not aggregate Greg.
Is there anything else, Greg? We this is the part of the show we give shout outs, closeouts, we wrap it up, we bring this thing to an end. Usually when we have guests on, we kick you off and we wrap it up ourselves, but you are the 3rd co-host, so we're gonna let you stay on for shout outs and closeouts and close out the show. Do you have anything you want to shout out? Any stray thoughts you want to do to close this thing out?
First, I want to shout out the Oden family, Sabrina, London, my mom Zoe, my brother, my dad. I just love everybody. I want to shout out the Titus family, everybody out there in South Carolina. Shout out the Fraziers taking care of me when I was out there in North Carolina. It was a good time. Honestly, man, I just want to say shout out to you two, man. Thank you guys for having me. Appreciate you brothers, man. Honestly, can't wait to come out there and kick it with you guys in LA.
Yeah. The world is opening back up, Greg. You got to come back out. I mean, how many times have we set you up and you just said something beautiful that both of us look at each other and we're like, well, we have nothing smart to say about that.
And then the one time I was trying to set you up with a beautiful question and tie in the late Mark Eaton.
Rick Carlisle got fired.
You're like, damn, Rick Carlisle. Wow.
Dude, I swear I had just turned it up.
That's my only shout out today. Shout out to Rick Carlisle. I hope he gets hired by the Indiana Pacers. Or the Boston Celtics. Those are my two teams. Yeah. Brad Stevens is going to battle over Rick Carlisle. So that's all I got. My one shout out. And shout out to you, Greg. Shout out to the Oden family. And shout out to being able to reconnect in 3 different places, but eventually all in one place again.
But you're coming to LA. We're playing beach volleyball and golfing, and we should do like a decathlon of some sort, except it's like all LA stuff. We try to surf. We get Greg on a surfboard, see what that looks like.
My core is not strong enough to stand up.
Same, Greg. Same.
Oh man, you're the best, dude. Thanks for joining.
Hey, thanks for having me, fellas. Love you guys. Have a good one, man.
Love you too, man. Thank you. Hey there, thanks for watching Titus and Tate. For the full friend of the program experience, subscribe right below and come join us for all things college basketball. The action is heating up. Come join Titus and Tate.